Jupyter Notebook sucks. And I find it interesting that a lot of online courses actually still use Jupyter Notebooks to teach people instead of Jupyter Lab. Now, in my opinion, Jupyter Word, how is it better? Now, number one thing that you see with Jupyter Lab is better file management. You see, when I'm working in a folder, I can have all my files here. I have my Python file here, my README file, my text file here, pictures and everything, and I can save my notebook files and everything. You can also see one interesting thing with operating in the same window is, for example, if you do a new view for notebook here, and in this new view, I can actually edit the same document in the same way, and I can copy, I can paste, I can move cells around, which is literally impossible in a notebook. I can copy instead of having to copy and paste. I can just move cells, I can duplicate cells, I can transfer just like this, I can move cells around, I can do anything I want to do, and it's all in the same window, and I can operate on different files simultaneously. I can, for example, in Jupyter Lab, I can have a new terminal. Let me open a new terminal, and in my terminal, I can drag my terminal here, and I have also my terminal here. So in the same window, I am opening a notebook file. I can also open a Python file here. Say I decide to open my Python file is here. I can bring it here as well. So I now have my Python file here, and this is now my terminal. This is my Jupyter notebook. So compared to having to use just this, which is just one Python file, I can have my Python file here, I can have my notebook file here, and I can have my terminal in the same window. So Jupyter Lab has a better file management. The second thing is, it is very easy to deal with markdowns in Jupyter Notebook. So compare me in a README file in my notebook, which I basically would just have like this if I want to open in my notebook, in my Jupyter notebook, because it's going to be like this. But in README file, in Jupyter Lab, it has a very powerful thing called Open with Markdown Preview. And in Markdown Preview, as you can see, this is a lot more beautiful. For example, I have this picture here. Instead of just having a README screenshot.pg, I actually can show the picture, and then I can also have all of this, which is a lot more very easy to see, and it's really easy. So Jupyter Lab makes it easier to deal with markdown files in the preview README file. Now, I already talked about this. Also, in Jupyter Lab, you can actually deal easier with cells. So I talked about moving cells up and down. I can, for example, maybe copy this and move this here. Like very easy. So it really deals with rearranging cells, copying cells from one Jupyter notebook to another Jupyter notebook, and all of this is literally not possible in your notebook, in your Jupyter notebook, because you cannot only operate on one Jupyter notebook in your Jupyter notebook, but in Jupyter Lab, very easy. Now, the other thing that you can also do with Jupyter Lab, which makes it really easy and nice, is the fact that you can actually view CSV files. For example, if you will view a CSV file in your Jupyter notebook, everything is just going to be text files, but in Jupyter Lab, you can actually see your CSV files, and you can scroll almost to the last end. I think it can take you up to about 30,000 if I'm not wrong, or even 1 million. But you see how well displayed this is in my Jupyter Lab. But in my Jupyter notebook, this is only going to be displayed as a text file. So in Jupyter Lab, this is much more easier to deal with. Now, one of the things that you also see with your Jupyter Lab is the fact that it also has an improved user interface. So you have an easier navigation. You can change the theme. I'm using a dark theme now. You can change this to light. You can customize this as you want, depending. It's easier to move around, it's easier to navigate. You can customize your workspace the way you want it to look at, and it's just really easier with the user interface. And I think improving the user interface was one of the reasons why the Jupyter project actually built the Jupyter Lab as the latest one. So you should be using your Jupyter Lab, really. The last thing I want to talk about for Jupyter Lab, and why Jupyter Lab is better than Jupyter Notebook, is the fact that it has this very cool feature called the debugger. So with the debugger, now the debugger is open. We can close this and we can close this as well. So you see the debugger here, and with the debugger you can actually click on cells, and it can show you the breakpoints in each of them. You can see the variables, you can see the cost stack, and then it also shows you everything. So you can easily actually know if there is a problem with your code, in your debugger, and everything. And it's easy to navigate around instead of having to go through each of your code line by line. But with the debugger, it's very easy for you to inspect your code. It also makes you to really identify and fix errors in your code. Of course, if you're just starting out in the data career, this is one of the things you should be checking out and you should be trying to use so that you can actually really stand out of your peers. If you want to understand the job market, the data analytics job market right now, I have a video where I made an analysis of 7,000 data job postings, what you need to get them, where they are, and how you prepare yourself for the job market right now. Make sure you check it out, like this video so that the algorithm can show more people, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.